Today we're chatting with the author of 10 Years Younger in 10 Weeks. You definitely don't want to miss this one, so don't you change that dial or drop that phone. We're about to level it up and shatter the mold. Question. In a world where groupthink is the norm, others want what you've earned, and thinking for yourself will get a target painted on your back, how do you flip the script and level up your business, your money, relationships, your health, your status, and your life? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan, and it's time to shatter the mold. Welcome to another episode of Shatter the Mold. Andrew S. Kaplan, really excited to be here with you today. We've got an awesome guest. But before we get there, quick update on the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. Super excited by all the feedback that continues to come in. Super grateful for all the 5-star rave reviews, for everyone that's emailing me, letting me know how they're liking the content and how they're using it to their advantage. And of course, really appreciative of all the positive coverage that the book has received lately, whether it was featured in Yahoo or USA Today or its article in Forbes. Regardless of whether you read about it in one of those publications or you found out about it through a friend or you found out about it through the show, I really appreciate you checking the book out. And for those that have not had the opportunity yet to check it out, you can go ahead and go over to lastlawofattractionbook.com, which will auto forward to the book's listing on Amazon, where you can check it out in Kindle or paperback or audiobook if you prefer. And of course, if you don't want to pull out your wallet, you can always go to my YouTube channel devoted to this book's content. That's youtube.com/AndrewCap. I give free techniques, I give feature interviews about the law of attraction, and a few other surprises there as well, so feel free to check that out. With that said, let's get to the guest of today. A trained nurse and certified coach with over 25 years of experience in nutrition, Thorbjörg Hafsteinsdottir is the author of the best-selling book 10 Years Younger in 10 Weeks, a work that has garnered a huge level of attention in numerous countries, including Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland. Specializing in sugar addiction, obesity, diabetes, women's diseases, healthy pregnancy, and natural aging. And through this book, which she's now sharing in the US, and her 10-week program, Thorbjrg is on a mission to raise critical awareness in both nutrition and well-being. She has a unique perspective that I'm very excited to share with you today. So without any further ado, Shatter the Mold warmly welcomes Miss Thorbjörg Hafsteinsdottir. Thorbjrg, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to Shatter the Mold.
Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited about this.
Awesome. Me too. You know, every time I have a guest on, like the possibilities are limitless, like where we take that person's expertise and the kind of value that we get for people. And I love, where direction we might go in here, because I'm looking at your book title. It's 10 Years Younger in 10 Weeks. And, obviously there's so much punch to that, but it says so much within it. And obviously there's a lot of, I'm assuming, actionable content. Before even diving into what it is, like, what inspired you to go in this direction and write this kind of book?
Well, the book is actually written 10 years ago. So the upcoming book is like an anniversary edition. So like 10, 12 years ago, I was working with nutrition. I've been doing this for, I think, almost 30 years. So this is a huge passion of mine. And at that time, I had been treating women, with nutritional therapy for years. And I was writing in a Danish newspaper. I was actually connecting age with nutrition, and nobody had done that before. So one of the biggest publishers here in Denmark thought it was so interesting that they asked me to write a book about it. And I said, yes, please, because I had so much information and that I wanted to share with women. And I thought that I had so much experience in knowing what women they want from themselves and for their bodies and their health. So it took me I think a month or so, then I was finished with this book. And it was a huge bestseller in Denmark and all of the other Scandinavian countries. And now, 10 years after, I have updated the book. Some, few changes, and now it's going to be published in English. So that's awesome. The story behind it.
Yeah. So a lot of good things happening, and I mean, I imagine we go in a lot of countless directions. Let's dive in with the good stuff really quick. So just based on the fact that you write this kind of book, and obviously you have this insight and all this experience, where do people most go wrong? I mean, in terms of their approach to their health and their nutrition and even just the way they live their lives, that if they made that change, all of a sudden they would reintroduce more of a youthful experience in their life?
Well, there are many answers to this, but there's many people that go wrong in the choices of nutrition, especially. And because, I mean, choosing food and choosing what you really want to eat is not always based on knowledge or based on what is the wise things to do, because I think most of people, they know what is good for you and what is not good for you. But we are directed by emotions and convenience and, you know, feelings and all those kinds, you know, that just, you know, are the director of what you choose to eat. And we want to have it simple, so that's why we often choose something that is just grabbing something from the, you know, from the supermarket, that is mainly something that is sweet and tastes very good, and most people think that the taste very good is the sweetness, the sugar. So the choices of sugar is probably the most disastrous things that have ever happened to the mankind the last 100 years. I mean, because since the sugar consumption began about approximately 100 years ago, everything is just went south, as you say.
Right.
So when people are hurting from it, I mean, when they can see the consequences of their choices because they're getting, you know, overweight, or they get very tired, and they can feel the inflammation and the pain in their body, then they maybe, most of them, they wake up and say, okay, what can I do here? There's obviously something wrong, so what can I do? Not everybody is thinking nutrition link, but most people nowadays, because I mean, there's so much information on the net and Google, and you can, you know, you can get the information you want, right?
Right. Now, I'm assuming one of the challenges here is the food, the food that's not as good for us is almost, it's pre-prepared. So part of this is in terms of our busy schedules and the running around that we do, where, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe there's strategic ways of getting healthy stuff without a lot of prep. But I get the feeling, or at least it's been in my experience, and maybe I could learn something here, that if I want something really good or really healthy, I have to go through the extra effort of shopping in the right place, of doing the extra prep, of doing like a lot of the stuff where I could, you know, my entrepreneurial mind saying, no, you have to devote that time towards making more content or building your business or whatever else, not realizing ironically that having more energy is going to help me with that anyway. But is that one of the biggest challenges? It's just people don't have the time to prepare good stuff. And is there a way around that?
Well, that is one of the reasons many, or you could say excuses for not eating well, or because you don't have time. That we have some obstacles, right? We have the time factor, we have the money factor. You know, it's too expensive. I don't have time. It's too inconvenient. Blah blah blah. There's many, you know, obstacles against this, and I totally get it. I mean, because it can take time in the kitchen to prepare good food and healthy food. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. And that is what I'm teaching in this book we are talking about now, but all my books. I've written 7 books. I'm trying to teach and inspire people that doesn't have to be the case, that you can also cook at home, simple, very healthy meals. But of course, occasionally you can buy something. But prepared food is also very, very different. You can buy something that is really good and, you know, without added sugar, with good fats in it, and with no coloring and, you know, all that stuff. Of course, you can buy it, but you can also buy really, really bad quality processed food, and with hidden sugar, hidden added sugar, hidden very unhealthy fats, and so on. And I know for sure, because there's some studies on this, that people, especially maybe in the US and maybe especially in New York City, where I also have lived, I mean, people, they don't, of course not now because of the lockdowns, but people, they tend to go very much out and eat, right? They even the apartments that I have been in New York, they have very, very small kitchens, and they don't cook, they go out and eat. And as I said, you have good choices, but you have also bad choices out there. So you have to know what to choose also.
Right.
I
This
can
is about being
probably
very
do that.
intentional, having a game plan always front and center, so to speak, so that you can choose from it.
Yes, because I mean, eating is also like a schedule. I mean, we tend it's a little bit conflicting, this area about, you know, the eating stuff, because on one side, I really want to make people being aware about what they eat, the how they combine the macros, the proteins, the fat, the carbs, how they, you know, combine them, and on the other side, I want them to have a little bit control, but on the other side, I don't want them to, you know, that get obsessed by it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not good either. So finding a good, you know, way in between, because I really think that you have to put your mind into what you eat and how you know, and your body, and training and exercising, how you move or walk, whatever you do. I mean, I think really we have to schedule this also in our lives, like we schedule our work and work hours, you know, 8 hours a day or 6 hours at the desk all the time. You know, there's some things that you constantly have to think about. Not constantly, but you have to have it in mind, like a routine. And when it gets to be a routine, then I just, you know, that's hooray for me, because then it's accomplished, you know. Just
Right.
make it a routine, but it takes time. It takes 10 weeks at least.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that. Again, this is me not having had the chance to read the book and really just learn about you peripherally. What I hear in that answer is part of this is understanding your own human nature, understanding the fact that sometimes people can't jump from A to Z. They've got to go to B, C, D. You've got to like ease your way in. You've got to introduce pieces and build up the routine so that it gets easier and easier and almost snowballs. And you have so much more momentum behind you by the
Yes.
time you get to week 9 and week 10, where things have just kind of found their way in an easy way into your life. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Yeah, it is really, really good, Andrew, and I like the way you put it. For me, it's like I really want to get people interested in approaching to change their lifestyle like a journey. So it's like, okay, I'm starting here. Everything can happen on the way, and I'm prepared that I will be surprised, or even I be lost, or, you know, whatever. But that can be very exciting. So just enjoy the ride, and maybe the goal is because I want to have more, or gain more energy, or I want to be 5 or 10 pounds or even 15 pounds, you know, lighter, or whatever it is. That's fine, but enjoy the ride, because there's so many things you can learn on the way about how the body works, about blood sugar, about the hormones, and you will realize, wow, the hormones, they're just ruling the whole thing, you know. And that's good to know. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's good to know this body, and if you do this, this will happen. There's consequences. If you do that, there's also consequences, but they're actually really, really good. So you have the power to choose, right? But you have to, you know, try and learn trying.
Yeah. Now you brought up I guess a really important piece of this, that people don't even understand the power in terms of hormones and how that really affects your body. I'm wondering, because again, you said that you primarily serve women, and I'm wondering, is it the diet plan that accounts for a woman's biochemistry more, or is it just a thing where your stuff helps both women and men? It's just that women gravitate more towards the content.
Well, the hormone business, the hormone thing in the book is really aimed to women mostly,
Mm-hmm.
because the hormone system in the women are far more complicated than men, I would think. And it's really excited as well. It's exciting stuff, you know, and women, they know too little about it. It could be so nice to know more about how it works. But The rest of the stuff in the book and other books I've written is for men as well.
Got it.
Totally. And men can eat the same food I am describing for women as well, because of course men have hormones as well. I mean, and the food men and women are eating affects the hormones, also the testosterone and the male hormones as well.
Right.
So yeah.
Gotcha. Now, just off the top of your head, what are like 2 or 3 foods that people could start off with that make a huge impact where they're like, okay, I'm seeing the results, there's something to this, therefore I am more inspired and motivated to keep going with it?
Well, if I only have 3, and you are asking me to add some, 3 choices, not get rid of anything, right?
Yeah, and by the way, you can throw more in there. I just didn't want to put you on the spot. But really, I'm looking for like what are good things? Like I want everyone listening right now to have the option of listening to what you say and try stuff out and get a faster, more profound response in their bodies that hopefully they'll be more motivated to continue and learn more and do more.
Well, what I think could be really, really good for anybody is to add some more healthy fats in their diet.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's said, I would also like that fat being in the morning when they, just, for breakfast. And that fat could be like, it could be butter. I prefer to have the butter organic and the grass fed. That's me. It could be coconut, organic coconut oil. It could be avocados, stuff like that. And that's sad because you don't eat only fat in the morning. I do, but not everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
You can add more protein as well. So having those things together in the morning, the good fats and protein, and the protein could be like an omelette, eggs, scrambled eggs, with the fat, scrambled eggs with avocado, scrambled eggs with the butter, and some, few vegetables, like colorful vegetables. That just those 3 things, and have it in the morning instead of just, a croissant or bread or, nothing. That would make a huge change. And why that is because if you have the fat and the protein in the morning, you will feel that you are fuller, and you will not and there's so little of the carbohydrates, the sugar thing in the morning, so the brain will not constantly be craving more sugar or more, carbs. I just call them carbs. So that is a huge difference,
right?
I think. Just the one thing.
So not to hold you to any specific number, but just knowing, everyone's got different bodies. But if someone were to do what you just advised, how soon might they expect to feel better, to feel a difference, to notice it? Would it be a day, a week, a month? What's a safe time where people can hopefully rely on that if they do this, they'll get an impact?
Well, it depends on from which place they are starting this. So if they have been very, very unhealthy, or had very unhealthy choices in food, with many sugars in bread and stuff, they will feel immediately, after 7 days or so, the changes by changing it just with those 3 things in the morning. Mm-hmm. And of course add some water and doing a lot of water and stuff. So only those 3 things in the morning would change it in 7 days. And hopefully when and I know that for sure, because when people, they can feel and they can experience something is changing for the, for the better, they get curious, and then they want to try even more, because they get inspired and motivated and say, okay, if this is working, I guess what else could work?
I love it. Now, I never want to miss an opportunity when I'm talking to an expert, someone that understands nutrition and talks about this and writes books about this. I'm always curious because I dabble and I learn about different things. I'm curious about your thoughts on intermittent fasting.
I have very good experience with that, and most of my clients are on the EF or IF, the 16/8. Mm-hmm. so just, to tell the listener what that is, then you eat nothing for 16 hours, and then you have an open feed window for 8 hours. So you don't eat anything from maybe 7 p.m. In the evening, and your first meal the day after is about noon, maybe 11 or maybe 8 p.m. So, and I do that myself, and occasionally I use fasting. Maybe once a week I have a 24 hours fasting, and so I think that is a huge benefit for people that are, getting in balance. There's something against it, in my opinion, because I have so many people going to my courses, and many people, they are addicted to sugar, and that means, I mean, I'm calling it addiction because they really, really like sugar, and they can't, or they have imagined themselves not being able to get, to live without it. For those people, when I start them up, and that's in the book as well, I recommend that they, instead of going on the IF fasting, or if you can call that a fast, that they start with the fat in the morning, in the beginning. So maybe have a butter coffee. I think maybe some of you will know it, like a bulletproof coffee with maybe three different fats in it. So it's a coffee with butter, coconut oil, and oil called MCT in the mixer, blender, and you mix it and you drink it. So you're only having fat for breakfast, and that will make your sugar addiction in the brain, or whoever is there calling for sugar, it will just make it sleep. So you will get a calm brain, not craving anything, and you are full as well. So I think that is a very good beginning. It's not IFB, intermittent fasting, because you are having fats.
Yes.
But I am more interested in controlling or doing the insulin resistant and the cells better, and we can do it this way. Yeah.
So, not medical advice will leave people to consult with their doctors, but me knowing my audience, they're very motivated, and they like to be as efficient as possible. So we just talked about intermittent fasting, and we talked about the fats. What are your thoughts? Again, they'll consult their doctor. If someone's like, I'm going to do both, I'm going to intermittently fast, but that first meal is going to be the fats. Is that in line with what you do, or am I going in a completely off direction?
No, that is in line what I do. And I'm not the only one. There's really, really many people that do that too. And they have huge benefits from it. As I said before, this is also mainly for people that are, they have some issues with their sugar cravings.
Yeah.
Because it really makes them feel calm, if you can say it like that. Calm and satisfied. It makes them happy. And they tell me they get so much focus and energy from it, just being on the fats. And they are actually, because after they have been sleeping and not eating anything for, all the night, and maybe for 16 hours, they are producing energy called ketones. You might know that as well. So the ketones are a product from fat, the fat you're eating, or the fat you have on your belly, So you're actually reusing your own fat. So we are just continuing doing that by having the butter coffee or the fat coffee in the morning. And so that is a really, it's like a therapy, if you could call it that, for people that have, struggled with their sugar cravings. And then they can just, skip it when time comes, and they can maybe they can just do this 3 times a week, and they can eat healthy breakfast the other mornings, or nothing. So I think the body is really pleased with having surprises. So you're not doing the same thing all the time, like when you're exercising your body, some of the muscles you need to use in this day or this form, or so you're surprising your body, not always doing the same exercise and again, lifting the same way again and again and again. I mean, the body gets so used to it and a little bit bored. So, it stopped working,
Got it. Gotcha. Now we don't want to reveal any confidential info, but I'm curious, do you have like a favorite like client success story that, they were just in such a bad way and they were able to use this in their life to get a real benefit?
Well, I have so many, Andrew. I mean, there's so many that have been following the 10 years younger program, I mean, for decade. And I have so many success stories that I really, and I don't know what to pick, because there's so many of them. But there are women in so many different ages. I had this. I had athletes, young basketball girls that have been struggling with because they're too tired and they're eating so much carbs because they think that is, good for them during the games. Just carbs, and I remember particularly one of this young girl. She was about 22, and she was so tired all the time. And she was actually a little bit like masculine, and masculine in her way to approach life. And she was very sad because she couldn't lose weight, and she needed to lose weight. And the only thing we did with her was just take some of the carbs away, add some more proteins, add some more good fats, and she just the kilos, they just melted away. And also, I was advising her to also do some other stuff than just the masculine basketball and running like hell, and doing some yoga so she could just go a little bit inward, and thinking other in some other ways. And she had a huge difference in her life, being more feminine, losing all those, the overweight. She got a much better player on the team as well. So that is, from a young girl, and other, elder women that have gained so much energy and so much sex appeal as well, because they have got so much self-confidence, losing weight, getting clearer mind, know what to choose and not to choose, because it can be really, really hard to make good decision for yourself if your brain is just caramelized, in sugar. You get unfocused, you can't, think clearly, you are irritable, and you can, you get angry, and your blood sugar is going up and down, you're tired, can't sleep, and all those stuff. So when you fix that with the right choice of food, I mean, the inner self of the woman can blossom again. So that's about being the younger self of you. It's not the appearance or looking good. The bonus is that you will look better. That's how it is.
Awesome. Where, like, in your life, was there a moment where you made a change and it impacted you in this way, or were you always along like this healthy path? Like, how's been your personal experience with this?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think that I could be doing what I'm doing if I had never, been in the same way, or in the way that many women are today, or many people. I had this really huge sugar addiction when I was younger, and I had several health conditions, like arthritis, inflammation in my joints. I was very, very tired. I was depressed, and I was not happy. I was not, overweight, but I was like thin overweight, because I had a lot of, what do you call it, fat tissue. But I was one that was lean, but with many, the fat percentage was very high. I was just feeling really, really miserable. So, and this is many years ago, Andrew, and I didn't have access to internet or Google or anything. So I just had to, I woke up one day and I said, this cannot go on forever. I have to do something. So I met this wonderful woman that she just asked me if I ever thought about, looking at the nutrition. So I just started for myself, took this out, experimenting with this one, this and this, and step by step, it took maybe 3 years or so. I was good, but I was teaching myself and experimenting for 3 years, and it was such a huge change, and I was a totally different person. So I had to work with this. I just knew that this was going to be my profession. It was more than a profession, it was my passion, and it still is. So yeah.
Awesome. Now, I know, if I'm not mistaken, the book is, re-release coming in the States March 9th. And let's see how good I do about publishing this close to that date. So people, by the time this publishes, people will know to get it. Am I correct in assuming like Amazon's the best place, or are there any specific websites that you wanted me to direct people to?
Well, Amazon is a very good place, and there are several places selling it, and already now you can pre-order. My website is Thorbjrg.com, and all of these links where you can buy the book or pre-order the book is on my website as well.
Awesome. And for everyone's ease, and I'm going to put the link in the description at shatterthemoldpodcast.com where this episode resides, and I'll also put it in the YouTube video description. Okay, so last question I really want to run at you here. What, if you can give people listening like one piece of advice right now, just to get started the easiest way, like what would you want to impart for them?
If I would give one advice,
like what's the top piece of advice you'd want to share with people right now? Or to put even better, if you can go back in the past to your prior self, 10 years, 15, 20 years, 25 years, and give the most actionable, high leverage piece of advice, what would you give that younger version of yourself?
Well, I would say to myself, read your book and follow the program. Don't be afraid. I would say to myself, it's much easier than you think. Because that is something that we think it's really, really difficult, and we imagine all kinds of things about, changing lifestyle, changing our food habits. It is not as difficult as you think. And all of my women that I have, talked to and I have on my courses, they are thrilled that only takes them 1 week to get rid of their sugar addiction.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
If they do the right thing, right? Yeah.
Love it. Well, Thorbjörg, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, for giving some tips. I'm personally, I'm going to check out the book. And again, I really love the title, the way you put this out here. It's, just a great, wonderful energy. And I'm just like, I'm really grateful for you coming on and just sharing this. And again, 10 years younger in 10 weeks is the name of the book. Thorbjörg, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Andrew. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Thorbjörg, for that wonderful interview and all those insights that you shared. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited for my audience learning more about you and your book. With that said, guys, again, I highly recommend you check out 10 Years Younger in 10 Weeks. You could find it on Amazon or on Thorbjörg's main site. And of course, if you haven't done so already, feel free to pull out your phone, hit that subscribe button, leave a quick honest review about what you think about this episode and all the ones I've led up to it. And just know that I've got other awesome guests on the way very shortly. And of course, before I go, a quick reminder, you can always check out my book, The Last Law of Attraction Book You'll Ever Need to Read, by going to lastlawofattractionbook.com or my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Andrew Cap. Thank you so much as always for listening. Stay tuned for more awesome guests soon, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to Shatter the Mold at www.shatterthemoldpodcast.com. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan. My name is Andrew S. Kaplan, and it's time to shatter the mold.